Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of West Ham Fan TV's Big Match Preview. Let's have a little bit of a full screen on there just at the minute. Welcome back to West Ham Fan TV. We'll be reviewing and previewing the Leeds game, which is coming up tomorrow. I will be up at Leeds. So if you're there, come and see me for a fan cam afterwards. Right, this is a massive game, mate. And I think probably the biggest game of our recent history in terms of under Moyes.
I don't know what the panic's about, mate. We ain't lost since last year. We're unbeaten this year. No, joking aside, yeah, it's a massive game. We win tomorrow. You know, we're free. It puts us a point in front of Leeds, puts us above them. So it'd be a massive win. It'd be a massive win, and it is a must-win for me. I mean, I wouldn't turn my nose up at a point. I'll be honest, because we need to get a point on the ball. But 3 points would be massive tomorrow.
Yeah, listen, we have got some clips from David Moyes' press conference, and we'll be going through them and discussing them in a bit. But do you think he's taking this as seriously as he should, Ryan? He doesn't seem bothered.
David Moyes?
Mm.
Yeah, no, I think he is bothered, mate. I think he's a proud man. You know, no manager wants to lose. He knows he's on the verge of losing his job, which... You know, no manager wants to lose their job. He's too proud to walk. He's never going to walk. I think he is taking it seriously, and it all depends on his starting lineup tomorrow. I mean, we've predicted our starting lineups what we'd like to see, but he's got to get it right tomorrow, and it's going to be tough because Leeds got a great result away at Newcastle the other day. But look, we have beaten the last 2 years there. You know, we got a great win there last year, last-minute winner. As I said the other day, that's what this team might need. Something like that, like a last-minute winner, just to give us a boost. And yeah, as I said, mate, getting them 3 points because it's squeaky bum time, and we're not even halfway through the season yet.
No, he did say that. There is some updates on injuries. Let's listen to a little clip from David Moyes on the injury situation at his press conference today.
Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
The team news for this one. Can you update us on Zuma and his mix of illness and injury issues now in the past?
Yeah, well, Mick's had a bit of illness, which I think a lot of people around the country have had at the moment. So we hopefully Mick's okay, and Kurt, he's doing well, but he's not available yet for this game.
What about Naif Agerd, who of course had a great World Cup, hasn't played for you yet in the Premier League or started for you in the Premier League? Is he under serious consideration of starting this one, do you think?
He is, but he's getting himself back at the moment, and he's getting himself back ready. As I told you, he picked up a virus when he was in the World Cup, and obviously picked up an injury which didn't help either during the semi-final, but or just before the semi-final. But he's back training and building himself up. Yeah.
How big a player could he be for you this year, do you think?
I think he's really important, but again, it's a new player we've introduced with many others. Getting used to the Premier League at times can take a little bit longer than you hope. But we've not had Nath because he picked up an injury at Rangers in a pre-season friendly, and unfortunately we've not had him to start any games yet.
So there you go. Nath Agerd may be back. Kurt Zuma's still missing after a while. It sounded like Mikel Antonio had a virus. He's been unlucky with injuries in key positions, right? I would say that through this season, but he's got to find an answer, seeing as we've let sort of like a lot of youngsters go in that centre-back position, the likes of Diop, and it's an ageing defence. You know, Zuma and Agüero are going to be crucial for the last, for the run in the second half of the season.
Yeah, all season he hasn't had a centre-back four, has he, really? He obviously wants Zuma and Agüero to play together. He hasn't had a chance. As you said, Agüero hasn't featured in the Premier League yet, as was out of a knee injury, which is good news that he'll be back sooner than we thought. But I think having Agüero back tomorrow, even if he's on the bench, will give him a boost just to be around the match day squad. But I hope fit enough and well enough to start tomorrow. As I said, right backs have an issue. Left backs definitely an issue for us. I'm watching the goals back the other night against Brentford. You know, he could have got there, but it was an instinct from Tony. But the second one, the Silva, he just powered and paced and ripped Creswell apart. And that's why I think that he might be dropped tomorrow. But yeah, he needs to get that settled back for, and we need to stop conceding. We need to stop conceding goals.
Yeah, Aguerd coming. I mean, the theme throughout the press conference today was there are some worrying signs. We'll get to them in a minute, but it was sort of like these players are not ready now. I don't mean to be rude to David Moyes, and I don't mean to put pressure on him or anything like that. And I'm sure that there's enough pressure put on him. But they need to be ready. You buy them to make an impact, and if you've got the players that we've got at the moment that are playing and that are not playing well enough, we haven't got time for these players to sort of settle in. We haven't got time for this sort of thing. I mean, the transfer window is open, so there's an opportunity. And he did say today that he could go back into the transfer window, but he hasn't got time for these players to settle in there, right? They've got to hit the ground running, otherwise he's going to be out of a job very soon.
Yeah, I mean, we're heavily linked with Michael Keane at Everton, who I know he's not even in their first team. So, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because we have been unlucky with injuries. I mean, you got to think of Cornet, who was meant to come in to give us that bit of pace, and we haven't seen him since October. I think Wolves at home was his last game for us. So, the sooner we get these players back, the better. But you're right, his job is on the line. And I said this yesterday. I think a heavy defeat tomorrow could spell the end for him. And it reminded me a bit like under Alan Pardew, when we had a great season under Pardew, FA Cup final, season after, didn't go well, and we lost 4-0 at Bolton, and they sacked him. So, I know the board have come out and said that they're going to back David Moyes and stick with him. But how many times have we heard chairman say that, and then the next week they sack him?
Yeah. I mean, Stuart Pearce did come out today, and he's had his discussions on what's been wrong in terms of what's going wrong at the club. If you haven't listened to that, go and listen to that TalkSport clip. We're probably going to be doing a separate video on that tomorrow before I go to Leeds. But I haven't got the clip to hand, so I can't play it to you. He doesn't. He sort of blames sort of injuries and all this sort of thing, but in the reality, I think, like, this is just my opinion. This is my personal opinion, and I know other people on this channel have got different opinions. It's a lack of motive. I think the players have really lost it with him. I don't think they're playing for him, and that Brentford game just summed that up, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I said it the other night. I think we were a lot better against Brentford. I think we was a better team. We just didn't take our chances. He tried something different. It sort of worked, but obviously it didn't work that well because we lost. But I understand where Stuart Pearce is coming from in a way, because obviously he's a coach. He's worked in the club. He knows a lot more than what we do. So he knows a lot more goes on behind the scenes. And he is obviously close to David Moyes still. So he's always going to defend David Moyes in that situation. But yeah, it's frustrating at the moment. It really is, because something needs to give, because you're right. There is something not right there. We said it the other day on the match review. Something definitely ain't right in that dressing room, whether it's senior players have fell out, whether they don't trust David Moyes, whether David Moyes ain't trusting players, whether it's the coaching staff that the players ain't trusting. Something's got to give. So, as we've always said, you can't sack a squad of players. So maybe a new fresh voice in that dressing room comes in and everyone starts playing well again. But at the end of the day, we'd all love David Moyes to turn it around, because if he does, West Ham are winning again, and we're moving up the table. So whether he can do that, I don't know. It's down to him. Every job's on the line. Every game, his job's on the line now, unfortunately.
Well, let's listen to the manager again on how big this Leeds game actually is.
So, David, after Brentford, how big is this match for you and the club after 5 straight defeats?
The same as every other game. You get 3 points for it, but obviously the importance of it is really, really big. We know that. But it was the same when we played Brentford on Saturday, and it was the week before when we played with Leicester before then, in Crystal Palace. I can remember those games, Arsenal. So it's very big, but so were they.
There's a lot of scrutiny around your position going into this game. How would you say you're feeling pressure-wise going into it?
I'm feeling really good because I've got great support from the board. great support from David Sullivan and the board, who've been right behind me, and it's really good because you can put yourself under pressure a little bit, but overall they've been very, very good, very supportive, and backing me.
What would your message be to the West Ham fans, though, who perhaps are calling for a change right now?
I don't know if that's words you're using in the wrong words. I think the West Ham supporters have been incredibly supportive. I think they probably see what's going on here in the last 3 years and would probably say the opposite. I think they're desperate for us to do well, and they're desperate for their managers to do well.
Sure.
There we go. Desperate for the team to do well and desperate for the manager to do well. I don't think that's I think that could...
Well, that's why you're setting that up. That's sort of similar to what I just said. We all want him to do well. We all want West Ham to do well because we'll all be happier and we'll all be going to work on a Monday and not having to listen to our Arsenal mates boasting about being top of the league and all the other fans that are laughing at us at the moment. But it's part of football. But yeah, I sort of understand him in a way what he's saying now.
Listen, there's obviously certain things. He's not going to turn around and go, yeah, they've told me that basically I'm not going to win the game. I'm not going to, I'm not going to win the game. I'm going to be out on my ear. He's going to obviously say that he's got support and all this sort of thing. And of course we want him to do well. Of course, a majority of the fans want him to do well. I just think at the moment, even though I wouldn't say I was the ringleader of the Moyes out brigade, but I am in favour of getting rid of him. I think is that there's a very there's a bit of a witch hunt at the minute, which I think I think he's a little bit harsh on him. You can respectfully say that you want him to go without making it personal. And I've seen a lot of personal stuff. I've seen YouTubers pop up and fucking people on Facebook pop up that ain't popped up for many, many moons, mate. And I think it's getting a little bit silly.
Well, there'll be people out there that want us to lose tomorrow just to get rid of Moyes, when really we want to win. We don't want to see West Ham lose games. Of course we don't. I've always sort of backed David Moyes. I wanted him to turn it around. And even I've come to it now where I know there's something not right and there has to be a change at the football club. As I said, I'd love for him to turn it around, but I just can't see it at the moment because they're saying, right, but look, if the players are backing him, because if something wasn't right in that dressing room, a good captain would go to the chairman. We've seen it over the years. Something's not right. But Moyes seems to have the backing of most of the players. So, look, if he's got the backing of the board, the backing of the players, if the board come out and said, look, whatever happens, we're sticking in with this season, well, at least the fans know, and then we just do what we usually do. Just get on with it, get behind him and get behind the team, and hopefully he can turn it around.
Yeah, I don't think they're back. I mean, obviously, publicly they're going to back him, but apparently there's a Jacob Steinberg article that's come out in the last couple of hours that's quite damning, and I will be reading that. Our old mate Jacob Steinberg, and see what he's got to say for himself. He's obviously got a little bit of inside information of the club, so I will be reading that in the next couple of hours. But
well, fuck me, I hope these sources are better than yours.
Yeah, I'm sure they are as well. I'm sure they are. I got. So anybody that's watching this now and was watching DR Sports, I got well and truly pranked. Someone done me up like a kipper. They made a fake sort of like an email and all of that sort of stuff that sort of meant to have come out of the club. I got done like a kipper. They knew I was on live on air. And normally I wouldn't do anything like that. I wouldn't blurt anything like that out. We don't deal in sort of news unless it's confirmed really on this channel, and we never have done. We're not in the nose, but I just happened to be on air and I blurted it out, and it upset a few people. But they got a bit abusive. But it is what it is, isn't it? You know what I mean? You make yourself look a fool. You put yourself on a pedestal. You make yourself look a fool.
I mean, look. David Moyes tomorrow, he's got a good record at Ellen Road. I think he's unbeaten there in 4 games, 3 wins and a draw. So I think I was reading earlier, only Alex Ferguson's got a better record than him as an away manager at Ellen Road in the Premier League. So look, it could be a game tomorrow that could be the turning point for us, and maybe get a win now, and then have a bit of confidence going into the next few Premier League games. I'll be honest with you, mate. I love the FA Cup to bits, but I couldn't give two bollocks about the FA Cup on Saturday because I think we're in such a shit situation at the moment that we need to get the league form back up. But I say that come Saturday, I'll be buzzing. No, I hope we win because I love the FA Cup, as I said. But we need to just get that win, and hopefully it can turn our fortunes a bit and give players a bit of confidence. Hopefully, I'd love to see Skamaka get on the score sheet tomorrow. I think he's desperate for a goal now.
I'd love to see anyone get on the fucking score sheet. I'm going, mate. It could be a fucking grim night for me.
No, you love it, mate. It's beautiful up in Leeds this time of year.
It's fucking bitter, yeah. Transfer window is open. Could dipping into the transfer window help us? And are they considering it? Let's have a listen back to the manager again in a press conference.
David, the window is now open. You had a big spend in the summer. What can you do in this transfer window, you think, realistically?
Well, I've said to you before, so you actually know the answer. I said to you before that we're probably due to spend no money. We spent more money, but that might change. You never know.
There we go. It might change. Would dipping into the transfer window solve our problems, Ryan?
Look, every transfer is a gamble. I've said it before. You can go out and spend 170, 180 million. And as we've seen, it hasn't really worked out with the signings. But you can go and get a couple of free transfers, a couple of loans, a bit like the Jesse Lingard situation, and it hits the ground running straight away. I'd like to see us dip into the transfer window. You know, we're not going to be affecting the top six this season. So maybe looking around them sort of clubs about bringing in fringe players that ain't getting any time now. Someone like Wan-Bissaka, who's been linked with us. You know, I've seen a lot of mentions about Harry Maguire. I can't see that happening. But I'm in favour of us dipping into the Championship as well, because there's a lot of talent down there, and we've been linked with Diaz, and I think we definitely need a centre forward, and I wouldn't mind bringing him in if we can get him. But I think there'll be a few clubs after him in January.
Diaz of who?
Blackburn,
yeah. As someone that we've looked at before. Listen, I think this. I said this on a podcast as well, mate. I think there is a club that can very much help us out in our situation. I think that's Newcastle. I think they're going to be sort of looking back towards the transfer window again, even though that, you know, I think Eddie Howe said he wasn't. But I know that John Joe Shelby is injured at the moment and he probably won't be playing until February. But in terms of a midfielder, mate, I would take him all day long, John Joe Shelby, just to keep the fucking football.
I'll be honest with you, mate. I think we're better than that. I do. I think we should be looking at players.
I think we should be, mate. But when you know, I don't want to be getting 20, 25 games into the season and looking down the table.
Do you think we need someone like him, though, when we've got someone like Flynn Downs that can do that job?
I do. Just because he's played in the Premier League a long time, and we're struggling to keep the football. The other player I will take from Newcastle as well, and I will be tempting their arm with a loan. I wouldn't buy him, but a loan would be Chris Wood. Someone Premier League proven striker, you know, a real nuisance, a real sort of David Moyes man, you know, someone that would work the way that David Moyes wants to. I think that's the way we could be looking towards the end of the season, rather than looking up. We're looking down. There's such a big gap now between the two. You see, you know, the differences I've seen between some of the clubs that are down there with us and us is that they've got fight, and we don't seem to have any fight.
Yeah, I noticed that. I watched the Nottingham Forest game the other day, and they had a lot of fight in their team. You know, I've seen Leeds getting a great point at Newcastle the other day, Everton at Manchester City getting a great point. This is what we're not doing at the moment. We're not. I said this on an interview yesterday with Gio. We haven't got fighters. We haven't got a lot of leaders in that team. So we need to bring in just a couple of new voices in that dressing room. People that have, because when you're down the bottom, it's hard to attract some certain types of players because they don't want to roll up their sleeves and get stuck in. You know, if we were sitting 6th or 5th in the table, we'd probably get a lot more options when it comes to West Ham, but you don't. So you're going to need people that are going to get stuck in. I said it after the Brentford game. Apart from Declan Rice, I didn't see anyone go to the floor putting in tackles. Everyone looks scared. Everyone don't want to get their shorts dirty all of a sudden. Like, fucking roll your sleeves up and get stuck in. Give the crowd something to get excited about. We've seen it down the years at the Boleyn when teams would be on top and then someone would just put in a tackle and the crowd would lift the team. That's what we need. That's what we're lacking. And as even bringing in someone like Areola in goal and dropping Fabianski and just something different on the pitch, different voices. That's what we need. We just got to start mixing it up a bit more because if not, you're right, mate. You know, come the end of the season, you're going to find yourself, you've got 3 games left and that's it. We're done. We're back in the Championship.
Absolutely. Well, let's have a look at this game tomorrow then. Leeds have been on a decent run of form. They got a decent point away at Newcastle the other day. They've done all right recently, haven't they, Leeds? Right?
Yeah, and look, they're a good team. They've got some good players. You know, they lost obviously Calvin Phillips and what was his name? The Brazilian boy who went to Barcelona.
Rafinha.
But yeah, they lost him. So, and you think they was going to go backwards, but look, I know they're only 2 points in front of us. But yeah, they're a difficult team. And Ellen Road, you know, under the lights, their crowd are noisy. They'll get behind Leeds. You know, they've only been back in their second full season back in the Premier League, isn't it? Or is it their third? Second, isn't it?
No, third, because we beat them twice.
Yeah, third season back in. So they want to establish themselves a bit like what Burnley did when they come up. You know, they want to stay in the Premier League. They was out of it for a very long time. So their fans are a bit like Nottingham Forest fans. They're buzzing every time they play at home in the Premier League because they missed it for so long. So it's going to be difficult. But we just got to go there because we've got the players that can beat Leeds. We just got to get that right formation. We're going to talk about the lineups in a minute who we'd like to see come in. There's a couple of players that I definitely want to see in that team who I know is going to put a bit of fight in that midfield, especially. And hopefully we can get the win, mate, because we need it.
This is the 11 that we've both picked. We'll normally have 2, but we both picked this 11. Sorry about the lack of graphic. We didn't have our graphics guy available, so I just knocked this up. So this is the team that I think, and Ryan thinks that we should be going with against Leeds. So that's Areola in goal. Change of goalkeeper, Ray, I think is essential at the moment. You see, Fabianski was, panicking the other day.
Yeah, look, Areola's a good goalkeeper. You know, he was in the France World Cup squad. I know he didn't play many games, but you've got to be a good goalkeeper to get in your national team squad for a World Cup. And he's never let us down before, Areola, in goal, especially in Europe. It's some of the saves he's pulled off at point blank. And I just think Fabianski at the moment is a bit low in confidence. And look, Fabianski's never let us down. He's been a great servant for West Ham, but I just think he needs now to be dropped because we need to start getting Areola into this first team.
Yeah. So there we go. Emerson at left back's got replaced Cresswell. We got Burnley the other day. Dawson and Aguirre for his first start for West Ham. Johnson at right back for just a little bit of pace, mate. You know what I mean? Like we've got no pace in the team, have we?
As I said to you as well before that, I mean, Cresswell for me has to be dropped because he hasn't been great. But what I've seen of Emerson, a bit more improvement on him, especially attacking wise. But just before we picked that team, I said that I could maybe even see him playing Johnson left back and bringing Soufal in at right back again. Because whatever you think of Soufal, he's better at defending than he's going forward. So we're going to have to sit back a little bit tomorrow. But yeah.
Rice and Paqueta in the midfield. Paqueta, he did say that he was looking to play him a little bit deeper, so that could be a new role for him. He'll probably bring Souček in, let's be fucking honest. Fornals coming back into the side, a much missed member of the team, I think.
Yeah, Fornals is, look, we have missed him. I don't know what he's done. He seems to have just fell out of favour last. But he had this same situation last season. He went through a period of about 4 or 5 games where he didn't play or didn't feature much. And then he got a run in the team and he got a few goals, assists. I think we are missing him. We're just missing his legs. His legs in midfield, just chasing the ball down, putting tackles in. Because Fornals gives you everything. He's not. I know he's not everyone's favourite player. But I like Fornals. You know, he works hard, and I think having him sitting just in front of Rice and Paqueta, because Rice will sit a little bit deeper, just give Paqueta that ball, just to have that space to look up and look to play Bowen and Benrahma, or even look for Scamacca to hold it up and then join him up front, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Benrahma, Bowen, who needs to step up, and Scamacca up top on his own. We really need to start seeing a little bit from him. But that is the team that we would pick. Let me know your team in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for all your comments. We are reading them as we're going. It's not really a show.
Thing is as well with just that team, you know, if he started that team, and even if he played Antonio up front, if it said it's Scamacca, I'd still say that was a strong team, because I think the way Leeds play and the way Antonio plays, I think he could get at their back four. But either one of them, but obviously I'd rather have Scamacca, because I want to see Scamacca get a goal, and he needs it just to boost his confidence.
Yeah, so there we go. The Leeds preview. What do you think? Leave your comments in the comment section down below. Was our team right? Do you agree with everything that we said on the press conference? You know, do get involved. I know this was a live video, but it will be a replay as well. Thank you so much for everyone that commented. We will be going up to Leeds tomorrow, so watch out for some content coming out tomorrow and the fan cams afterwards. Win, lose or draw, we will be here creating content. But thank you so much for joining us. One thing left to say, Ryan. Come on, your ones.